A very good evening to you and welcome to the Hot Seat. I'm Azra San and tonight I'm in conversation with Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, a management consultant. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
Doctor, now we've been talking about an economic situation of the country and there are conflicting ideas. Some say it's good, some say it's bad. What is your opinion on that? Are we actually in a crisis now?
I think, Azra, to answer that question, you have to go back to the fundamentals of economics. It's all economics and business. And how the economics define an economy. An economy is a place or region or country where you have production and on the other hand you get consumption. In order to connect these two variables, you have money coming in to facilitate exchange. So, what is a crisis? Now, these three variables working together in order to create wealth. This is what the father of economics, Adam Smith to Rostow to today's economists have explained. The role of an economy is to create wealth. So, in these three areas, if there is no wealth creation, you can say that there is a crisis. You know, we take production. Production is affected today due to different, variables, interventions that are internal as well as external, coming from the macro situation like rupee devaluation or dollar appreciation. So, there is a problem with production because production inputs goes up the cost wise and money wise, and that's a crisis. And also consumption, when the prices goes up, inflation and all that, the consumers purchasing power goes down, and if there is demand for certain products and goods, they can't buy them. Then there is a crisis in that area also. Money wise also, now there is a big problem in the international arena as well as that is affecting on our economy, and rupee is devaluing daily, and there is a crisis in all these areas. So, there is a definitely an economic crisis we are undergoing today in this country.
So then this has been pretty obvious to
Yes.
everyone, to the authorities, to the people, because it is felt by the people. So haven't we done anything to get rid of this situation?
Well, about 2 years back, I think IPAs came out with a study and also conference and workshops to indicate there's a like expecting catastrophe, impending catastrophe in the arena of economics, and that was based on the American economy's performance and also trans policies. And unfortunately, the Sri Lankan economists and policymakers, specifically the politicians, didn't take notice of it. They didn't take it very seriously, and they have been trying to approach the economic issues from a political angle. So,
Right.
that made things worse, and therefore, now we are facing a lot of situations because of this wrong approach our people adopted from policymakers, economists and also the politicians. So, this is the scenario.
So then now this was informed to the authorities and they could have been proactive and taken proper actions against this. Is that what you're trying to tell?
Definitely, yes. The government could have, understood and proacted to the impending situation with policies, actions, strategies, and also resource utilization, and also focusing on the priority areas, and then try to revive the economy, especially the manufacturing sector. That has not happened. And also there were areas the government could have definitely addressed, like if you take say 2015, there were issues in the economy like FDI. We are not getting enough FDI from into the country, and foreign remittances, there are problems. It was declining, and also inflation going up. And these were the issues, and also export import. If you take now, we talk about export oriented economy. In fact, now we have become a import dependent economy, and the ratio or difference is 9 billion, and we have to find money to pay this up. So, we have not been really focusing on those critical areas with a very proper professional and economistic approach. So, we failed in all that. So, we are really facing that scenario, very catastrophic scenario today, and it's very difficult to come out from this scenario today.
It is indeed. Now the authorities and the politicians came in front and said that the general public should tighten their belts and all that. So is it something that where the general public have to limit their consumption in order to get rid of the situation?
Not at all, because 2015, right, if the government analyzed the economic situation and also impending scenarios, they could have adjusted the economy fundamentally and structurally and come out with solution. Now you see two blunders, the political blunders we did was 2015 we increased salaries of the public sector 10,000 and also pensioners, and then we relaxed the importation of vehicles and we imported vehicles amounting to 72 billion US dollars. That is equal to our total economy. Our economic worth is 87 billion. You see, and also and we have supported a very inefficient, unproductive public sector where it didn't produce any productive outcomes that leads to GDP. So these are two blunders we did, I would say political blunders, contributing negatively to economic growth. And apart from that, there are other things like bond scam, all contributed to this situation. So we sent our money to Japan to buy vehicles at that time, and it was a political decision. Now asking the general public to tighten belts is not very ethical, isn't it?
Definitely. Now the thing is, now this increase in the salary of the public sector was an election promise, and they increased the salary, and now the estate workers are now demanding for a salary hike, and the government is not in a position to give the required salary that they are expecting for. And the imports of the vehicles. Now they are trying to bring in controls and then control the importing of vehicles to the country. Isn't it kind of too late now that they are, I mean, they promise certain things and they deliver it, and to see the result was not very favorable to the country.
That is the result of a very reactionary response to the situations any country is facing. Now you see, if you really take the exports, our cash crops, we are declining. Tea and rubber and coconut the same. And tea sector, last year we lost 1.5 billion US dollars in terms of our income. And had you, now you are talking about the workers who are agitating for 1,000 rupees, definitely they are a very productive segment in this country. They are the people who contribute to the national economy. And had the government increased the salaries of those people, and in turn they would have increased their productivity and contributed to the increase in income in that particular sector, it would have contributed to GDP. That didn't happen. So reactionary measures have created a lot of issues, and now it's we are in a turmoil and very chaotic situation.
Dr. Vidya will go in for a short commercial break. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Welcome back to the Hot Seat. We are in conversation with Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, a management consultant. We were talking about this economic situation of the country. Isn't there a way to get rid of this situation and take the country forward?
Well, Azra, according to the finance minister, I was listening to him day before yesterday, he was saying, now amongst the Southeast Asian countries, we are the only country managing this financial crisis. Well, I think it's a politically motivated political statement. Now, you see, now we are facing, it's like a tsunami now, right? There are no immediate solutions. But I would say one thing what we can do is the government must study the imports, which are not contributory to the people, right, in terms of their daily consumption, and also not very substantial in contributing to business growth. They must identify things like toys, chocolates, shoes, things like that. Immediately they must stop those importations, right? And also all foreign trips, unnecessary foreign trips that we spend a lot of money, especially politicians, right, going abroad with their families spending our money and first class, business class. Stop all that. These are drastic decisions that you should take. Like politician Lee Kuan Yew, 1960s, he took such decisions.
Yes.
And that's how he converted the whole country into a vibrant economy. And we must be ready to, forego or sacrifice such things today. And that's from the macro level of politicians. And on the other hand, business level, only thing is you can't cut salaries of the people. You can't stop their financial gains. What the business could do is to slash management costs, overhead costs, and maybe sometimes the train and development budgets, and also unnecessary expenditure on certain areas, unproductive areas, and increase productivity and efficiency. That is the only internal response that the business could do in order to counter these external shocks. These are the immediate things. But long term, Azra, the government must focus on policies, fiscal policies, economic policies, business policies. We don't have such a thing. These are highly individualized.
Yes.
And the government must formulate the strategic policies that are relevant to the economy and take advantage of the resource base in this country. Now, you see, people talk about countries developed. Now, for the last 60 years, we are only talking about development here. Right? And our people are affected. Quality of life is not there. Standard of living is not there. But we have resources. We have rutile, we have zircon, we have graphite, we have nice beaches, we have white sand beaches, we have a nice climate, vegetation, disease, everything, fish. Are we taking advantage or utilizing or taking or exploiting these resources and converting them into products and services, and then devise methodologies to increase the quality of life of people? No, we don't do.
But doctor, they are talking about this large scale development projects in the country. So haven't they actually given anything back to the country with those development projects?
As Sri Lanka's big talkers, we are only talking, but nothing happens. Even what has happened, we are not taking use of these big mega projects. That's the pathetic part of it. Now, you see, for instance, we have fish around us, and 2017 we have imported 30 billion US dollars worth of fish. Can you imagine? And you take Maldives, their growth rate is 8%. Our growth rate is 3.1%, and Ethiopia's growth rate is 10%. Right? And we are declining, and we have now, you see, Maldives. We used to import umbalkado Maldive fish earlier. Now they are selling their tourism. Where are we? We are still talking about tea, rubber, coconut. No, we have no plans. We don't have strategies. We don't have approaches. We don't have the vision, and we don't have participation of the people, resources, and mixing them and devising strategies to come out from this pathetic situation. These are long term.
Now, what about the local manufacturers of the country? They bring cess taxes and things like that to constantly demotivate the local manufacturers in the country. Why can't they encourage instead of demotivating them? Why do we have to bring in things from other countries when we can produce all of that here in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, Azra. Now we import bee onions. Last year, 10 billion we spent on that. We import rice, 21 billion US dollars, and we import white onions. We import turmeric. We import vegetables. We import chicken, and we import last few months we were talking about importing coconut. So we are importing everything. And we don't have a methodology devised to use local resources and local entrepreneurship and enhance micro enterprise development sector like what happens in other countries like Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and like in Vietnam. We don't have such a policy. There's no direction. There's no methodology. There's no support system, and they are just talking about it, and we don't have. We now talk about credit facilities. By giving credit, you can't develop entrepreneurship, and you have to provide advice, counseling, infrastructure, and research and development, business ideas, training, consultancy. These are the support that the government must provide to SME sector and then enhance that sector, and that will be contributory to GDP rather than talking about cess and other things which are demotivating. So, as a result, even the prospective entrepreneurs will not come out and invest and try to develop the country. So, it is a pathetic situation.
Right. With that, we'll go in for a short commercial break. Don't go away. This is the Hot Seat. Welcome back to the Hot Seat. I'm in conversation with Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, a management consultant. Doctor, now we talk about a lot of theories, statistics, figures and all sorts of things. But the general public, the innocent people of this country, they don't understand any of these things. But what they see and what they witness is very sad. I mean, they have a daily struggle to find their own food, and it's all about earning, and they are going through so much of difficulties. How has this affected the cost of living of the country?
Definitely, Azra, you see, when the prices escalating due to inflation, and also that will really impact on businesses. You see, you talk about economic development, quality of life of people. Now, quality of life of people depends on production, services, and trading operations that are taking place in a country. Now, if the business sector is not growing, that will have an impact on the economic development. There is a correlation between these two variables. If the economic development is slow, that means business performance is low. If the business performance is low, now the consumers are, that means the consumers do not have access to the produce. So, now when the prices are going up, what happens is in the business field, the cost of production goes up. When the cost of production goes up, the prices goes up. And on the other hand, purchasing power of the people are going down. And then there's a big dilemma here. So, as a result, both sectors are frustrated, demotivated. Now, what happens now is we are not really giving the actual scenario, information and data, and also what the people should do in such a situation. We don't discuss that. We are trying to sometimes create a very rosy picture about the situation, and this is highly politically motivated, and people don't know what to do, and the innocent people, poor people in the country are suffering, and so it's a very, very pathetic situation, and therefore the government must provide subsidies, and also for poor people. We have a lot of poor people and active poor and poor people, about 10 to 15% of acute poor people, about 40% of the people are poor in this country. So, giving them redress by way of reducing indirect taxes and also subsidies, and those are the things the government must do now, because they must save these people. They are the future of this country, and if you have a very weak person, right, develop through this system, we will have a productivity issue in the country. So, it's a immediate solution must be given by the government now.
Doctor, as you are an expert in the field of business, how has this affected the business community specifically? As in, do we have enough room to start up new businesses and innovative and creative, to present innovative and creative ideas in the country?
Well, entrepreneurship is a very marvelous idea. If the entrepreneurs are entrepreneurial fit, whatever the external situation, they will start their businesses. Only thing is, in Sri Lanka, there is a problem. We are entrepreneurially lacking in certain aspects. So, as a result, even if the environment is opportune, we have not taken advantage of that opportunity. And now the environment is so unfortunate, frustrating and demotivating. In such a situation, you can't expect the general public or prospective people to come and invest or take advantage of the negative situation and create businesses. It will never happen. First, the government must ensure the macro situation is okay, environment is fine and conducive, and then motivate people to come into business field by providing support, and it is a must and precondition for business development today.
How can the government simply support whoever is wanting to start up a new business?
Identify people who are entrepreneurially fit, entrepreneurial. There are a lot of sectors, youth are there, right? And there are, you take North and East provinces, there are youth who are entrepreneurially motivated.
Are they educated? I mean, do we provide enough education so that they can fight with the rest of the world and create something for them and for the country?
In fact, Azra, now education has nothing to do with entrepreneurship. Entrepreneur is basically a psychological aspect.
Right.
Now, if you take entrepreneurs, most of the successful entrepreneurs in this country are not formally educated, but
Right.
they have
Not
educated,
book smart.
not books, not books. They got their education from society, their families, and also based on their insight. And if you take North and East the people, I have been working with them, youth, they are entrepreneurially fit, they are entrepreneurially motivated, but they need support. What is support? Advice. What business to start? What are the business that can start and we have in market? And then credit, and also infrastructure facilities, right? So these are missing. So without that field, creating a better field, they can't invest, they can't come in to it, they will be ineffective. So create that environment so that motivated people will take advantage of the situations and create businesses.
How about bringing in investors from other countries to invest in the market in Sri Lanka? Is there something called investor confidence in Sri Lanka?
Right now, there is no investor going. If you really analyze the statistics from 2010 to 2016, you see 202 investors came to our market, and during the same period, to 4010 went out. So that shows how confident they are about our economy. And you look at the stock exchange, it's giving wrong signals to investors. And then doing business index, we are 111 out of 190 countries. So investor confidence won't come like that. We have to create a better conducive environment. That is up to the government and the politicians look into this situation and work on that area and get their acts correct together and focus on the economy.
Thank you, Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa. And that was Dr. Sarath Buddhadasa, management consultant, joining us on our Hot Seat program this week. That's it from us for tonight. Thank you for joining us. I'm Azra Hassan. Take care and good night.